Fantasy finishes. Guys, today we are talking about the top 15 quarterbacks in your 2025 fantasy season. Let's see who they are. Let's go. All right. Welcome to the show. This is the Frankly Fantasy Football Podcast. We are your hosts, Frankie and Johnny. All right, Frankie, today, baby, fantasy finishes. Let's go. We got a series of 4 fantasy finishes. We're going to do the top finishes of the season for each position. Today is quarterbacks, Frankie. Let's go. Yeah. We got the top 15 quarterbacks here, man. You ready to do this?
Let's do it, baby.
All right, let's go right off the rip here. We're going to start at number 15, guys. All right, right at 15, we're coming in with Indiana Jones, one of the big surprise finishes for fantasy football. Indiana Jones, Daniel Jones with the Indianapolis Colts, ended up coming to the team for the first time this year, Frankie. Beat out Anthony Richardson, some weird controversy in the offseason.
Totally.
Anthony Richardson injury, not sure. I think they were looking for an excuse not to start this dude. They got it with Indiana Jones. He came out, totally surprised us, ended up at quarterback 15, man. Woo. Really nice season for Danny Dimes here. Let's see here. Danny Dimes ended up with 234 fantasy points, averaging per game. This is the stat I want to focus on, Frankie, because the total points doesn't really mean anything to anybody. But weeks 1 through 17, that's what we're going to talk about here, ended up averaging 18 points per fantasy game. You've got to love that out of your quarterback. Talk to me a little bit about Danny Dimes, Indiana Jones, and let me know what you're thinking potentially for next year as well.
Guys, this is one of his most efficient seasons to date. And it was a wonderful turnaround for his career. It just is super unfortunate that he had the Achilles injury. He had to get surgery. And now it kind of leaves things in flux, John. So here's what's fascinating, man. I want to talk about the ADP. When we were looking during draft season, guys, his ADP was 31. He was the 31st quarterback off the board, guys. I'm talking behind Russell Wilson. I'm talking behind Geno Smith, right? And then we flash forward, and by end of season, he's quarterback 15. And he would have been even better, John. He would have probably cracked top 12 had he have not gotten injured. So hell of a year for Danny Dimes in that sense. But now, to your point, what happens? What are we looking at? Well, this past year, 3,100 passing yards, 19 passing touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. Very efficient, as I mentioned. And he also piled together 164 yards on the ground, which was fascinating because it was actually his lowest of his career. But after kind of thinking about this and mulling it over, when you got Jonathan Taylor in the backfield there, and you have the offensive line that you had, which is nowhere close to the same as the Giants, guys, you're going to see him probably not have to run the ball as much. So, and he was much more effective through the air. So for me, man, this is really fascinating to see how this is all going to uncover in 2026. He's an unrestricted free agent, right? So he may not sign back with the Colts. And the Colts are certainly going to try to probably get something done, but at what cost? He's coming off of an Achilles surgery that's pretty brutal. And now, right, we will look forward to what we've seen from the Colts and some of the backups with Riley Leonard. And obviously they brought in Old Man Rivers there, who was fun to watch. But candidly speaking, we're nowhere close to being as good as what Danny Dimes was. So we're going to have to really stay plugged in on this quarterback situation for the Colts, man, because quite honestly, as of right now, it's completely up in the air for 2026.
Well, and he's one of those quarterbacks where you write the guy off, obviously. 31 ADP.
31 ADP.
Out of 32 fucking teams, by the way. You know, let's just put that in perspective. And then he comes in and lights the world on fire week 1 with almost 23 points in standard leagues. I mean, very impressive, man.
Very impressive.
He's one of those guys that went from a team, kind of tossed him off to the side, didn't provide much fantasy value. Very similar to a Sam Darnold. A lot of these guys, Mac Jones, that ends up coming on and having fantasy value. So he's going to have some value next year, especially if you're in a superflex leagues. These guys at the, outside of the top 10, you're really looking at superflex. These are going to be your number 1 guys that you're going to have as the number 2 quarterbacks there. He's going to have value. I think the Colts bring him back.
I think they should.
They were the number 1 seed at one point with Danny Dimes. It's a hell of a team. We were looking into it and we were like, okay, with the Achilles injury, is that going to kill his fantasy value if he's not mobile enough? We've seen that what happens with Aaron Rodgers. Dude just doesn't move after the Achilles, you know. Kirk Cousins, we've seen the same thing. Frankie, we were looking into it. He didn't really rush that much this year. I mean, that's a skill set Danny Dimes has, but on a team like the Colts, he didn't need to do that. So if he does come back for the Colts and does look good and is looking good, I don't see any issues there, man. I mean, I think it's a guy that you can draft if you're going to wait for quarterback and maybe get yourself another stack with a Michael Pittman Jr. or an Alec Pierce that you may draft late in the draft next year. I like it. I don't mind it at all. I think there's going to be value there.
And John, to your point, guys, just calling this out, this past year, I mentioned 164 rushing yards. The year before, in 2024, 265. Before that, 206. Then in 2022, 706. In 21, 298. In 20, 423. So to our credit and to what we're saying, guys, Danny Dimes was a dual threat quarterback for most of his career. Now, was it by nature or was it by environment, right? Meaning like he had to be able to do that because the offensive line was so bad where he was. So this is really interesting. I think he proved a lot of folks wrong in being able to be more of a pocket presence guy rather than just a pure dual threat. So to your point, man, I'm really excited to see what happens with Indy next year.
All right, let's go to another guy who did not get a lot of respect here, man. I'm talking about the guy who was quarterback 27. Okay, so just a few notches up the board from Danny Dimes. And I got to tell you, man, this guy surprised everybody. We were very cautious with him. We didn't know if it was if he was a product of Kevin O'Connell's offense with Minnesota. Ends up going to Seattle, and God, I mean, we may see these guys in the Super Bowl this year. I'm talking about your number 14 quarterback on the season in fantasy weeks 1 through 17. It's Sam Darnold, guys. Welcome, Sam Darnold. He went from seeing ghosts to potentially seeing a deep playoff run here, man. So really impressive. 240 total fantasy points, averaging 15 points a game. That's the interesting thing for me, Frankie, is that Sam Darnold, unbelievably solid season, boosted JSN to a top 2, top 1, depending on your scoring receiver, but he only averaged 15 points per game. That's interesting, man. It's crazy to look at. Talk a little bit about Sam Darnold.
Guys, what's fascinating is let's look back at the last 2 years. So with Kevin O'Connell, John, to your point, 4,300 plus passing yards in 2024, 35 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. Dude lit the world on fire and just had an absolute meltdown in the playoff against the Rams, right? And then we look to this year, John, candidly speaking, he was off my board. I didn't believe in it. I didn't trust it. He was the type of guy to where I'm sitting there, man, and I'm like, I don't know if this was him or, to your point, was this Kevin O'Connell and doing his masterful self in terms of being able to develop some of these quarterbacks, get the right plays in, and really build a scheme that fits that quarterback nature. So, and then when you have a first-time head coach at Seattle with Mike McDonald, it's like, hey, man, I don't know if this is the guy I'm really looking to, chain myself to, even in as my second quarterback for a superflex league, guys. And here he proved everybody wrong. And what's beautiful, man, he had 3,800 yards, 25 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. John, that's the key, the 14 interceptions. When we talk about the points per game, it being only 15, it's like, well, what the hell? He's throwing for 3,800 yards and 25 tuds. Well, last year he threw for 35 tuds, so there's a 10 touchdown difference, and there's an uptick of 2 additional interceptions. So that's why the average points per game was a little bit down. But overall, phenomenal job by Sam Darnold. What he's been able to do in terms of taking command of these offenses, seeing his maturity and his growth ever since he left the Jets, man, in Carolina, and then really seeing him take that step up, knowing, remember, we were thinking and talking about this, they drafted Jalen Milroe. They drafted the guy to replace Darnold. And Darnold said, no, screw you. I'm holding on to this, and I'm going to take us to the promised land potentially. And it's showing that. So for me, man, really cool. I'm not 100% sure. I'll be honest with you. Thinking about next year, where I still stand with Darnold. He's definitely going to be a guy that I'll target in a super flex league for a secondary or third quarterback. But in terms of a QB1, I'm not there yet. There yet. I don't know if I can feel comfortable enough in a one quarterback league to get there. But the other pieces certainly benefited from Darnold on this Seattle Seahawks team.
I don't think he can, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he had an incredible season. I know that, he turned all the heads and everything. But still, when you're looking at fantasy points, that's what I care about,
Yeah.
15 average fantasy points per game. It's just not going to do it for me.
It's not going to do it.
You look through his game logs here. I mean, he had, a handful, maybe 4 or 5 games that were over 20 points. Big boom games. 28 points, 28 points, 23, 21. But man, he had a lot of single digits.
Yeah.
He did. He's got big floor there because this team doesn't rely on him. He still is a game manager. He had an excellent season, but I see him still as more of a game manager. Not sure if we look at next year, it's very likely they look at some other talent on this team, get somebody else out there with JSN to take some targets, because it really was JSN. I mean, you had, A.J. Barner with a tight end come through a little bit. And name me 2 or 3 other receivers on that Seattle team.
They ended up bringing up Rashid Shaheed, but that was too late in the season. And then Cooper Kupp, right? We had a reel, man, that I put out there, and I was like, I'm salivating over this because of the value. And boy, did I get crushed from all you savages out there, and rightfully so, because I was a guy that was actually high on Cooper Kupp because of the value you could get him at. And then the opportunity. He was walking in receiver too.
Have been there. So here's the question. Can Sam Darnold support multiple fantasy players? If they do bring somebody on next year, is that only going to just eat into JSN and not really provide more value for Sam Darnold? That's what I'm worried about.
It will certainly eat into JSN, but here's what I can hang my hat on, John. Looking back at Minnesota, what he was able to do with JJ and Addison. He made Addison a freak. And so that's what I can lean on. So for me, I do think that there's ability there for him to be able to truly supply 2, potentially 3 people if you include a tight end. Knowing the rushing attack is what it is with Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker. But yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the fact that you're kind of on the same wavelength. I'm not there yet as a QB1 in just a solo QB league.
No, when you're looking at Superflex, I think he's an excellent QB2.
Sure.
If you're going for the strategy of safety.
Yes,
I think it's a safe pick. I think it's a high floor pick. Again, 15 points per game. That's QB2 to me. Put it there. Give me a nice solid floor, and I'm good to go. It's not going to be one of those guys. And if I'm the kind of guy typically in a Superflex, my second quarterback, I want to be that guy that's got that
boom guy.
Sneaky up, a Jackson Dart.
Yeah.
Guys like that. That's what I look for in my QB2. Not necessarily the safe guy. But if you took some other risks, you could have a QB2 as Sam Darnold, I think, just to give you a little safe, keep the boat, rocking steady.
Or if you drafted JSN and you want that stack.
Okay, let's go on to number 13 here. Now, if this guy had played in Week 17, I think he'd have jumped up a few more spots here. Yeah. Young up-and-comer, I'm talking about Jordan Love, quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, ended with 241 fantasy points with 16.1 points per game. Jordan Love's ADP was quarterback 17, finished here at 13. All right, Frankie, talk to me a little bit about Jordan Love, man.
I'm a huge Jordan Love fan. Guys, I am a full-blown huge Jordan Love fan, and I think what we saw from this year was actually encouraging. And the reason why I'm saying that is because he really didn't have his best pieces around him. With Jaden Reed, he had Josh Jacobs banged up throughout the year, etc. And then you're really relying on a very young receiving core. I mean, you're talking you drafted Matthew Golden, you have Dontavian Wicks, you have Romeo Doubs. These guys are not seasoned vets here. And so you really just had Jaden Reed, and you didn't have him for all season. And what he was still able to do, man, 3,300, almost 3,400 passing yards, 23 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. 6 interceptions. Talk about efficiency. And then when you compare that to the last 2 prior years to where he was the full starter, last year, 3,389, so right about the same, 25 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, so he was way more efficient. And then in that 23 year, 4,100 yards, 32 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. If you give him back Tucker Kraft, you give him a healthy Josh Jacobs, you give him a fully healthy receiving core, I think that's what we see from Jordan Love. So for me, man, I am actually really encouraged by this year. I think he showed a lot of tenacity. I think there was a lot of good things to pull from. And when we talk about it from a fantasy perspective, to see him at an ADP 17 and then him finish with not finishing out the entire year at QB 13, yeah, guys, that's a solid QB, and I think that you can hang your hat on him as a true QB1 for your leagues next year.
It was a real shame that team was so banged up this year.
Yeah.
Because I was super high on Jordan Love. I mean, he was my QB2 in a Superflex league that I drafted, and I was so excited to have him as my QB2. just because the upside is there.
Mm-hmm.
Jaden Reed ended up getting hurt. He was hurt off season and then came in. He got hurt in week 2, never got back. I mean, he is his true. Jaden Reed is his version of JSN.
Yeah,
he really is. And
yeah.
It made a big difference not having him out there.
Tucker
Kraft as well. I mean, that's like having a Trey McBride out there in the middle of the field for Jordan Love. It's fantastic.
He was tight end 1 at that point when he was out.
He was, yeah. So and Matthew Golden took a long time to get through, but he really came through at the end.
Yeah.
I think he's a very sneaky play for next year. Give him another year under his belt with Jordan Love and some more practice. I think he's going to be an excellent wide receiver too next year.
Yeah.
But we need to get that team healthy, get him back. But I do love Jordan Love. I think that team, is really going to make a big play next year. They're going to have a lot of really good pieces. And if they're all healthy, Jordan Love, he's definitely one of the top quarterbacks on my list, Matt.
Definitely.
Let's get to quarterback 12 here. This guy's got a special place in our heart, Frankie.
Sure does. Right here.
He does. It's quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Pirate himself, Baker Mayfield. Comes in at quarterback 12, just outside of the top 10. 268 total points. Again, nice little jump here. It's about a 27-point leap from Baker Mayfield to Jordan Love here. 16.8 points per game. And Baker was the quarterback 7 taken off the board. So are we looking at a little bit of a disappointment from expectations at QB 7 to reality at QB 12? Talk about it.
Guys, yeah, a little bit. I'll be honest with you. And I'm a Baker fan. I drafted Baker this year in my Superflex league. He was my QB2, kind of ended up being my QB1 because of Jaden Daniels. And guys, the reason why it was a little bit of a disappointment, there's a lot of factors that go into play. First and foremost, when you don't have your star 3, and I'm going to say 3 because all are stars, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, and Emeka Egbuka for the entire season, that's hard. I mean, for even half the season, they didn't have all 3 pretty much out there running. So that's going to obviously deplete him a bit. The other big call out, man, Bucky Irving getting hurt. And so then you lose the ability to actually rush. Sure, Sean Tucker looked fine at goal line. He had 2 big games. Got to give him where credit's due. But the reality is he's not Bucky Irving. And so then you look at Rachaad White, not the same back either. And so when you lose that rushing ability to soften the defense, then it falls all on Baker. And then on top of it, he got hurt as well. We've seen in Cleveland his shoulder injury before. It looked pretty damn similar, if I'm going to be honest with you. It looks like he was out there just forcing things towards the end rather than being in the groove and in the momentum. So yeah, it was a little bit of a problem, but he still finished as a QB1, even with all of this being said. Guys, he ended up having almost 35 yards passing, 25 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Here's what's fascinating, though. He actually had some value on the ground. He had 351 yards rushing and a rushing touchdown. That's his second highest rushing in his career. And so that's really good to see from a fantasy perspective. But again, when you compare him from this past year to the prior 2, the last year he was mega year, right? He had 4,500 yards passing, 41 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. And then the 2023, he had 4,000 yards passing, 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. He was a smidge behind that. But guys, I'm willing to say they're going to pay him. Tampa Bay's going to pay him. He's going to be locked and loaded. He's going to have some healthy assets. You're going to get year 2 Emeka Egbuka. We'll wait and see what happens with Mike Evans. Does he retire? Does he come back to get his revenge? Chris Godwin will have a full additional year healthy. They'll have K. Dodden back in the flow with a healthy then Bucky Irving. Guys, I'm really excited to see what Baker can do with this particular team. But again, I want to call this out. John, we said this all offseason. Liam Cohen was no longer there. So that also changed the feel of this type of offense. And we saw the production value drop off across the board from everybody. And what we're going to talk about with some of those Jaguars, we saw them really rise to the top based on his particular scheme. So keeping everything in fold, I'm really proud of Baker, top 12 QB. The reality is I think he'll be a good low-end QB1 next year, but certainly, guys, was a little bit down in terms of expectations.
He is, and I think it's a combination. And I was waiting for you to say Liam Cohen, because if you didn't, it was right on my mouth, coming right out. But it's true. It was a combination of Liam Cohen, the difference in that offense, and Liam Cohen's style and everything, with all the injuries they had. I mean, Baker just, his ceiling was completely capped. There was just no chance that he was going to get there because of those situations.
Yeah.
I mean, at one point, Baker was in the MVP conversation.
We talked about it through 6 weeks. I mean, he was the guy. He was the guy.
He was. I'm with you for next year, though, because I still think the Liam Cohen exit, I still think it's going to have an effect. I still think because of the injuries and everything, we didn't really see what this team's capable of this year.
Sure.
We weren't able to. Going into next year, I'm somewhat excited for Baker, but he's in that kind of list of quarterbacks when I'm drafting that I'm just going to ignore.
Yeah.
I'm just going to ignore it unless I'm going all in on a Puka or Mike Evans.
Sure.
Something along those lines, and I want to get a cheaper stack and wait till, mid-rounds to grab a quarterback. But he's typically a guy that I'm probably going to pass up and look for more upside. Baker doesn't seem to be a guy to me that can be a top 3, top 4 quarterback. Again, his rushing could help him. He had a better year rushing, but only 1 rushing touchdown. So that kind of hurts too, man. You need to
John,
have
and I think
touchdowns.
what you're saying too, and I don't want to speak for you, but we would rather have Jordan Love over Baker next year.
Absolutely.
Like, you get what I'm saying? I think that there's tiers to this, right? Even though Jordan Love finished behind him, right? There's a couple other guys here on this list that we're not even mentioning that we would also rather have above him. Like, I just want to call this out. It's going to be Lamar Jackson, number 1. Yeah. I mean, right, just a down year. You're also looking at Brock Purdy, who's coming back, averaging the 2nd highest points per game, and it was just because of, game flow at that point, or injuries at that point. So for me, man, I think that it's going to be interesting to see what Baker does next year.
Absolutely. All right, let's get to our number 11 quarterback here on the list. We've got Jared Goff, quarterback from the Detroit Lions. Go up to Motown here. All right, he scored 288 points, averaging 18.1 points per game. That's the kind of stuff you want to see here, man. Jared Goff was taken as the quarterback 12 in fantasy leagues, ADP in the offseason here. Ended up at 11, Frank, overperformed just a tad, right where you want him to be. So talk a little bit about Jared Goff.
Guys, there's a teardrop. So this is the first thing I want to hit on. From Baker Mayfield and the performance to Jared Goff, even though it's going from 12 to 11, there's a 20-plus point teardrop. So there is something occurring here. And for me, man, I'm a huge Jared Goff fan. I just feel like he's always overperforming, that he's just always the guy getting it done. When we look over the last few years, really since 2022, I mean, I'll list off 4,400 yards passing, 4,500 yards passing, 4,600 yards passing, 4,200 yards passing. And fun fact, man, he actually had the 2nd most out of his career touchdown passes this year. Out of his entire career. So for me, man, I'm really looking at Jared Goff as a guy I have circled. And I have him circled every freaking year. And it's because of the offense that they have around him. Yes, did they miss Ben Johnson? Of course they did. We're going to talk about the Ben Johnson effect in Chicago here shortly. But what it does show, man, is they have Amon-Ra. You have J-Mo firing on all cylinders. You have Sam Laporta when healthy. You have Brock Wright as backup when healthy. You have Jahmyr Gibbs, man. And so knowing that that's there, knowing that they're going to be able to build around the defense a bit more, knowing they're going to be able to get over the hump a bit. I mean, they lost a couple one-score games that you're just scratching your head. Like, how the hell did this happen? AKA Minnesota, right, against Max Brosmer. What are we talking about? Okay, just absolute meltdown by Jared Goff. Five turnovers. So for me, man, I love Jared Goff in fantasy. He's the guy I'm targeting as a super sneaky cat that, again, people kind of just let fall off. They don't really think much about him. He's a guy you need to be targeting for 26.
I agree. I was just going to look on here and say, you know what? The one thing about Jared Goff is he never tanks.
Never.
He never kills you
except Christmas Day.
Except for your Super Bowl. He got 4 points in your Super Bowl every single week. I mean, the guy averaged almost 17 points a game, except for your Super Bowl. He absolutely crushed you. But yeah, I mean, this is a guy that it's a set it and forget it type of draft pick. I mean, he's going to be hovering around those 20 points every single week. Yep. It's just the talent they have around them. One of the other things, look at these quarterbacks averaging these big averages per game. There's something they have in common. Brock Purdy, Jared Goff, you got Jahmyr Gibbs, you've got CMC. End. When you've got a tight end that is incredible, and when you've got a running back that is otherworldly and can take a dump-off pass to the house like CMC and
there's 3 of them. Let's be honest. Maybe 4. Maybe 4 with Devon, but Achane. But I'm saying the big 3.
Sure. But it elevates these quarterbacks. Jahmyr Gibbs in the season he had over these past 2 years has elevated Jared Goff's stats. Jared Goff should be around, quarterback 14, 15.
I agree.
I'm telling you, it's Jahmyr Gibbs in the passing attack out of the backfield and the opportunity and ability for him to take one 50 yards to the house with a little dump-off pass.
Yep.
I think that's what boosts him. So as long as Jahmyr Gibbs is in that backfield, I think Jared Goff is one of the safest quarterbacks you can possibly have.
Yep.
He's got things other people just don't have, Frankie.
He's got them toys, baby.
That's right. That's right. All right, let's get to our quarterback 10 here. Top 10, baby. Let's go. Top 10 quarterback here. Patrick Mahomes, quarterback for the Chiefs. Really good friends with Taylor Swift, if in case you guys were wondering. Yeah, exactly. 295 fantasy points out of Patrick Mahomes. Really good year for Patrick Mahomes this year as far as fantasy
Really
goes.
good year.
Averaging, Frankie, 21.1 points per fantasy game. That's right. He came in as the quarterback 6, and for a while there, Frankie, he was the quarterback 1 for quite some time here.
Yeah.
Ended up being the quarterback 10, also due to some injury here at the end of the season. But talk to me a little bit about Patty Mahomes, man.
Guys, Patty Mahomes, the only reason why he's 10 and not better than this is strictly because of injuries, guys. He ended up getting out. He missed a few games. I mean, he ended up playing a total of 14 games. He misses 3. He doesn't miss 3. I'm telling you guys, he moves up. He's going to be a top 7, top 5 guy for sure, based on what he's been able to do. And again, what was fascinating about him this year, man, when you look through his passing stats, John, this was actually his second lowest passing production in his career. Think about what I'm saying. In his career, guys, he only had 3,500 passing yards. He almost had 36. He was 3,587, 22 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. To give you context, in the previous years, 3,900 yards, 4,100 yards, 5,200 yards, 48, 47, 4,000, 5,000, right? Like what I'm saying is definitely lower on the production, but his rushing spiked. Guys, this was the most he's ever done rushing. He almost had 500 yards. He had 422 yards rushing. That's phenomenal for Patrick Mahomes, and to get you a cheap 42 additional points there. So really, really powerful. Instead of him having, 10 rushing yards or 272, I'm throwing out specific numbers from previous years. So really fascinating from that standpoint. Here's the other call out here, is that I'm very interested to see what happens with this offense. I think that Patrick Mahomes didn't have as good of passing production strictly because, man, Rashee Rice was out for a while and the rushing game could never get going. Yeah. It was strictly on Patrick Mahomes. Defenses knew that, and so they had to try to just basically throw the book at him and really play tight coverage. And so for me, knowing that he would have 3 extra games, he probably would have got close to that 4,000 mark, if I'm being honest. But the reality is he didn't. He was hurt. And so for me, man, I think that he's a guy you always have circled. Again, before the injuries, he was top 5, top 3. He was number 1 for a while, John. And so for me, next year, guys, I think they're going to get the rushing attack figured out. I think with a healthy season with Rashee Rice, and you got Xavier Worthy, and we'll see what happens with Kelsey. Maybe this is the year that Kelsey retires and they look to replace him. But I still think Patrick Mahomes has better years ahead of him and could be a top 5 guy next year.
There's no reason not to believe that. I mean, he was number 10 and he, missed 2 games. You add 2 more games onto that. If he gets 16 instead of 14 games, then you're going to be the quarterback 2 or 3.
Yeah.
That's another 40 points on his total for the season. He's quarterback 2 or 3, which is where he hovered the entire season.
The entire year.
Yeah. So I'm with you on that. With a healthy Rashee Rice going into next year. Not sure about Kelsey, what's going to happen there, but Noah Gray is a fine substitute for that.
Totally.
Filling in for Kelsey, which, if Kelsey does retire, Noah Gray, keep that
could
name
be
in the back of your
interesting.
Mind. He could very well be a top 10 tight end. We'll talk about that. But yeah, I love Patrick Mahomes for next year. I think you have to take him. They're going to have to figure out that running game. I could see them picking somebody up in the free agent in the offseason, maybe a Breece Hall. Not sure what's going on there. But I can absolutely see them getting a receiving back in that backfield and try to have that
be
dual
amazing.
Threat. That would be amazing, and that'll boost. If you can upgrade Kareem Hunt to a real receiving back.
Think of Jerick McKinnon. Remember those years, John?
Yes, I do. So I think that's the big piece that Patrick Mahomes is missing.
Yep.
All right, number 9, we're talking about the quarterback for the Los Angeles Chargers, man. Justin Herbert, Air Bear.
Air Bear.
299, almost 300 fantasy points, averaging 18.7. Interesting year for the Chargers here, man. Justin Herbert, I said he could have had an MVP year. I'm always so high on Justin Herbert. Finally had some good options. A lot of these options were in and out all season.
They were.
Hurt a lot. This is kind of a team that changed identities to me maybe 3 or 4 times throughout the season, it felt like. From being a very run-heavy, defense-first team to sometimes Herbert just comes out gunslinging and just throwing it all over the place, and you have 3 different receivers scoring touchdowns. Talk to me about Herbert and what you're thinking this year and what you think for next year.
Guys, for me, Herbert, he actually had a pretty damn good season. When you think of everything together, they have a rookie tight end who really came about, which was awesome to see. You have 3 different receivers between Quentin Johnston, who we saw explode. Welcome to the NFL, good sir, because you were on your way out. Justin Herbert, and really did a good job getting him going. Keenan Allen early on was phenomenal, fell off towards the end. And then Ladd McConkey, talk about waves here, peaks and valleys, hardcore. And so it was really fascinating, John. I agree with you. I think that there was multiple identities this offense was trying to figure out. And I still don't know if they really found their key identity. I think with Omari and Hampton going out and things like that, totally changed where this thing was heading. But in terms of Justin Herbert as a whole, guys, 3,700 yards passing, 26 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, and 498 rushing yards, his most in his career. So for me, man, I loved seeing that from Justin Herbert. This kid is a young kid. We're seeing he's only been in the league since 2020. That was his rookie year. And so we're getting to see him rise to the ranks a bit more. Now, when we think about next year, where do we put Justin Herbert? I personally am lumping Justin Herbert in with that of the likes of Jared Goff, meaning that is a guy in my mind, you draft, you set it, you forget it. There's going to be some valleys there, but it's going to be 13 points, 10 points, and it's going to be some mega boom weeks with 30 plus, but it really does a good job evening out, man. And when we think about Justin Herbert with 18.7 points a game, that's a set it and forget it cat. And so when you think about, again, he was 14 ADP, you get him at 9, you get some serious value there for 5 particular position spots. Man, I'm high on Herbert. Draft him next year. I think we'll see a bit of a change. I would be shocked if Keenan Allen's still there with the emergence of Quentin Johnston. I think Gadsden's going to be a really sneaky good tight end. Key in on him, guys. Key in on him for 2026. And I think they're going to figure it out with Ladd.
I could see them looking to go get an alpha, too, a receiver.
Sure.
Quentin Johnston's not quite the guy.
No.
I think he's just kind of an ancillary piece. I think he helps the offense for sure. But he's not that guy that you're scared of in the back of the end zone. I really think they need to get back to a Mike Williams type receiver for Justin Herbert. I really, really do. If they do that, then I can see Justin Herbert having something like a Patrick Mahomes type year next year. I really do. If they can keep this team intact and this defense playing very well, a Harbaugh team, I'm all about it. And
totally.
His love for Justin Herbert, by the way,
is amazing.
It's almost a little homoerotic. I'm not going to lie. This guy loves his quarterback.
He has that poster up of his band. Let me tell you, Justin Herbert's the fucking lead singer for you, buddy.
He's got Justin Herbert playing every instrument. He lays in bed. He's got the poster on the ceiling. I love it. But yeah, excellent season out of Justin Herbert, man. You got to love that. Football playoffs are here, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all of the gridiron action. Playing Underdog, it's super easy, guys. You just pick if your favorite players are going to go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, rushing yards, receptions, and so much more. Frankie, what are your pick'ems for Sunday Night Football?
Sunday Night Football, we got the Baltimore Ravens at the Pittsburgh Steelers vying for playoff spots. So we got Gainwell higher than 14.5 receiving yards, and we're pairing that with King Henry himself higher than 69.5 rushing yards.
So what are you waiting for? Download the app today and use the promo code FRANKLY to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code FRANKLY. Underdog. Make picks, win money. Must be 18 plus. 19 plus in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/blanket terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call 24/7-HOPE-LINE at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467-369. All right, let's get to our number 8 quarterback here. It's the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. It is Jalen Hurts. We've got a 305 points here, just a couple of points ahead of Justin Herbert. They were really even there. Here's what's really nice about Jalen Hurts, man. 19.1 points per game. You've got to love that. Now, he was drafted as the quarterback 4, Frankie. So where's the difference here between quarterback 8 versus quarterback 4? So talk to me about Jalen Hurts.
Guys, so there is certainly going to be a teardrop from the top 5 and then down to the from 6 really to just about, Patrick Mahomes. There's a grouping of quarterbacks, and he fits perfectly in that second-tier quarterback threshold for this year. Guys, when you look at Jalen Hurts, I'll be honest, it was almost a frustrating year because he had these mega boom weeks, and then he had 2 weeks to where, it was a 3-point game, and then one that was barely double digits. So there was some issues going on from an OC standpoint. And there was a lot of issues getting the ball to A.J. Brown early on. We even talked about earlier in the season, do you consider benching A.J. Brown? I think it was week 4 or 5. And so with this, man, Jalen Hurts, what he did, 3,200 yards passing, which is actually pretty solid for him. All things considered, considering last year he had 2,900, the year before 38, 37, etc., had 25 yards passing, 6 interceptions, so it was certainly efficient. But where was weird, man, was actually his rushing. We have only seen him dominate and for the last years, really, since he's been a sophomore in the NFL. And this year, he still had 8 rushing touchdowns, but we're used to 14, 15, 13, 10, right? He didn't hit the double-digit threshold, and he only had his second highest rushing amount in terms of rushing yards since he's been in the NFL with 421, down from 600, down from 700, and almost 800. And so for me, if you drafted Jalen Hurts, you were happy for majority of the time, but there were certainly weeks that you were pissed off to all hell because there was a weird floor that I would never have expected with Jalen Hurts, knowing the pieces that they have on this team. But for me, man, again, it stems from a big OC change, and I think it led to a little bit of turmoil internally with the Eagles' offense. Now, thinking about it for next year, man, he's still going to be, in my opinion, a top 6 quarterback. I think you look at him at a top 6 guy, you draft him knowing the pieces that he has around, you draft him knowing he has a top 5 offensive line that was banged up, by the way, all year with Landon Dickerson and others. So for me, man, I think that only blue skies ahead, or should I say green skies for Philly. And I'm telling you, man, enjoy Jalen Hurts next year. But overall, a good season this year.
Yeah, that is the big difference. When you go from, quarterback 8 to quarterback, or, from 4 being drafted to end up at quarterback 8, it's those couple of 100 yards passing or rushing, and it's the rushing touchdown. We talked about Jalen Hurts, in the preseason. We're like, dude, come on. We're talking 13, 14, 15 touchdowns over the past 3-4 years rushing. The tush push. Is this sustainable? Can he keep doing it? And we looked at it and said, well, why not? It's happened for the past 4 years. Why wouldn't it happen this year? That's the risk you're going to take. Even dropping, 4 or 5 touchdowns. In this case, it was
huge.
6 less rushing touchdowns. It made a big difference. So
big difference.
But he made up for it in the passing touchdowns. He went up from 18 to 25 passing. So that's going to be the difference with him, and I think it's splitting hairs. You're still looking at a top 10 quarterback.
Still looking at top 10.
If he's healthy, that's what it's going to be no matter what. 19 points per game. I don't think we're freaking out about it.
And John, what's interesting, though, Jalen Hurts overall was pick 41. So, again, ADP was number 4. Pick 41, though, so you're thinking in 12-team leagues, that's back at third. Ooh, that was rich. Thinking about, where he ended up, that hurts you in itself. Truly thinking about this, because if you would have been able to wait, and maybe get somebody like a Jared Goff or like a Dak Prescott or like some plug-in XYZ, then you get more value. But to your point, it's hard to see that kind of going in, and I think that he's a surefire top 10 guy next year.
All right, let's go to our quarterback 7 here. Woo! My quarterback champion on the season here. We got Bo Nix, quarterback for the Denver Broncos. Very exciting season for Bo Nix this year, man. Absolutely love to see it. Scored almost exactly the same amount of points
Almost
as Jalen
identical.
Hurts.
Yeah.
Almost identical. We're talking within a couple of yards of each other here, man, as far as points.
Literally.
Averaged 19.1 fantasy points per game. He was in ADP the quarterback 8. He finished as the quarterback 7. My champion, Bo Nix. Talk about it, baby.
I love Bo Nix. Guys, I think he's one of the safest picks, and I think he's only going to get better. Again, we're talking, there was no sophomore slump with this cat. He's leading them to a potential number 1 overall seed, or if worse, number 2 behind the Patriots. So for me, man, I think we are, and this is hot. This is super hot. But I heard it from somebody inside of the Denver organization that was speaking about this. They think they've truly found the next John Elway. They fully believe in their soul, based on his rushing ability, the way he processes things, the way he lets the ball fly very quickly, and in his arm strength. Guys, they truly believe they found it. And it's hard not to believe it. I mean, with Sean Payton, some of the assets they're getting around him, just wait till we see Pat Bryant, the rookie receiver, take the next step. You got a nice cozy blanket with Cortland Sutton. We saw Marvin Mims get into the work a bit. And then you got RJ Harvey, to where we saw spike at the back half of the year due to injury. And John, we called that. We called RJ Harvey was one of those guys that were going to be back end help. So for me, man, I love Bo Nix. He is a super warm, cozy quarterback. Think of him as the upgraded version of a Jared Goff, meaning you're going to have less passing yards than Jared Goff, but you're going to get more points just based on the rushing and things of that nature. I think that it's a great comparison with him and Jalen Hurts. They have almost, to your point, identical stats. And when we're talking a 0.2 difference in total points and the same exact average of 19.1 points per game, guys, I think that's a great comp. I see these two being similar next year in 2026. Get you some Bo Nix next year.
Yeah, and get that running game under. They're going to add a running back. They're going to add to that running game. And they're going to get him some more help. I mean, they've got a really good young talent around him.
Yeah.
A good combination of young and veteran talent.
Totally.
Sean Payton's just a smart ass
He's a beast.
coach.
He's a beast.
He's a beast, man. When you've got a rookie quarterback coming into a team and you want to develop them, Sean Payton's one of the top 3 guys.
Definitely.
Well, give him this quarterback and see what he can do with it. Yeah. And he did. So fantastic, man. All right, let's get to our number 6 quarterback. Another 6, 7, and 8 with identical finishes here, guys.
Crazy.
I mean, we're talking all 3 of these guys, 305 points in fantasy and 19.1 average per game. This quarterback is our number 6 quarterback. It's Caleb Williams of the Chicago Bears. Frankie, I'm not going to lie. This has been one of the most confusing teams, if not the most confusing player for me to predict in fantasy football. Please talk about Caleb. What did we learn this year, and what can we apply for next year?
Guys, we learned that the Bears offense, the one piece that you can start on a week-to-week basis is Caleb Williams. That's what you learn. Because the running backs were seriously, I mean, one week it was DeAndre Swift, the next week it was Kyle Monangai. Then you have Roma Dunze going nuclear through the first 6 weeks, and then it's, oh no, never mind, just kidding, we're going to go Zacchaeus. And then out of nowhere, then it became DJ Moore, and then it went Luther Burden. And all this shit. And then it was Cole Kmet early on to Colston Loveland. And guys, it was all over the place. But the one constant was actually Caleb Williams. And then you start peeling back the onion. Well, what changed from Eberflus to Ben Johnson? And dude, it was the vibe of the entire team change, not just the schemes. It was the feel that you saw this Bears team come out. And Ben Johnson's ripping his shirt off, man, in the locker room, freaking out. And the guys responded positively to that. And so when you look at Caleb Williams, man, 3,700 yards passing, 25 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, dude was elite. Like when dude gets a lot of heat. I'm not a fan of the fingernail painting and all that stuff, but set that to the side. The dude's throws that he was making was nothing short of exactly why he was drafted number 1 overall. He was phenomenal. He was truly, what we're seeing is, I think we could actually see the next superstar in the NFL. I think it really is Caleb Williams. So for me, guys, thinking about what's ahead, it's only blue sky for the Chicago Bears, meaning this is the best quarterback, in my opinion, that they may have ever had. I think that their offensive scheme with the 2-back tandem is going to work really well in year 2. I think that you have DJ Moore signed up for a while. You have Roma Dunze who's going to be healthy. And now we finally got to see Luther Burden. Guys, we could see that Detroit offense of last year be the Chicago Bears offense of 2026. That's where I see. So for me, get you a piece of that Chicago offense for 2026 because it could be high flying.
I was just going to say that. Like, as the season developed, they started to look like the Detroit Lions.
Dude, they look great.
They really did, yeah. And there's so much talent on this goddamn team. That's why it was so difficult in fantasy, because there was so much talent. You want to start Colston Loveland because he's a freak tight end. You want to start DJ Moore because he's the alpha. Luther Burden and Roma Dunze, these guys are
good,
excellent receivers. It was so hard to start these guys because you just didn't know where the ball was going to go. But you're right, Caleb Williams. His rookie season that you compared him to, Frankie, was Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes with an Aaron Rodgers flair off book. I remember that.
Yeah, and you know what? We saw that this year.
We totally
When
did.
you saw some of that, how he extends the play like Patrick Mahomes, some of the sidearm throws, some of the off balance across the
back
body.
foot.
He really is that dude.
He's that dude.
He really is. And I know we kind of gave him a lot of shit this year, or at least for not being able to predict the fantasy outcomes. But, man, I'm telling you, I will draft Caleb Williams.
It's fun to see his growth, man.
Yeah.
It's so fun to see his growth. The NFL is at this point, an inflection point, to where we went through arguably the best generational run of quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. When you think about Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, even seeing Phillip Rivers come back and taking command of an offense at the line of scrimmage, dude, I don't know if we've seen that in this generation. Honestly, I don't really think from a true passer perspective, we've really seen that outside of Patrick Mahomes. And even with Josh Allen, it's not necessarily the same. And so when you think about the Tom Brady's and the Paytons and the Drew Brees and the Eli's, et cetera, Ben Roethlisberger, we went through the golden era. And now it's like we're trying to find who else outside of Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Lamar are going to really be those guys. And I'm telling you, man, Caleb Williams has the opportunity to have his hat thrown in that kingdom, basically, of Mount Rushmore for this generation.
Yeah. It's those quarterbacks that can do everything.
Yeah.
You know, it really is the Patrick Mahomes type of archetype of the quarterback. It's kind of the Mario. If you're choosing a character in Mario Kart or, Mario Brothers or Smash Bros. Yeah, he's the Mario. He's the all-around guy who can do a little bit of everything.
Yep.
And that's what we're seeing. Caleb is that guy as well. I will absolutely take Caleb Williams as my QB1 next year. No question about it. Upside is also huge. All right, Frankie, let's dive right into the top 5 here, man. This is not the top 5 that we predicted while drafting, nor did anyone here. These final 4 coming into the number 1, I think, were very shocking to everybody. Number 5, Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott, 323 points, averaging over 20 points per game, 20.2. You've got to love that, Frankie. He was drafted as the quarterback 11, came in as a quarterback 5. We showed him love before the draft. I can tell you that much right now. Talk to me a little bit about Dak, man. What was
you mean my champion?
Attack?
My champion? Is that who you're referring to? Because people gave me shit.
So wait, my quarterback was 7, yours was 5. Hey, great job.
Great job, man, right? Guys, you just felt it. You just saw it. After the injury, they bring in George Pickens. You have CeeDee Lamb there. You have Turd Ferguson. Javonte Williams was a mega surprise, I'll be honest with you, because I wasn't sure if they were going to have a running attack. It actually bolstered Dak Prescott even more so. Dak ended up with 4,400, almost 4,500 yards passing, 30 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Guys, collectively, overall, this was tied for his 3rd best year in his career. And guys, I only see it actually staying here throughout 2026. I think Dak, barring an injury, needs to get the respect on his name. They throw the ball constantly. Their defense is absolutely terrible. Now, they're going to have some draft picks to play with a little bit after, getting rid of Micah Parsons and things like that. Sure, they brought in Quinnen Williams to help with some of the defensive front. But guys, in terms of an offensive flair, this isn't going anywhere. I see them probably re-signing Javonte Williams. I see them running it back, getting George Pickens going. And this could be a really, really fun team if they get the defense right in 2026. So for me, man, I'm all on board. I think that this dude is a stud, and I will be drafting Dak Prescott in 2026.
There's no reason to think this is going to stop.
No.
Right? I mean, you've got CeeDee Lamb was receiver 18. George Pickens was receiver 3, I think it was. And Jake Ferguson at number 6. I mean, this guy produced some serious offense,
stuff,
man. Yeah. There's no reason to think it's going to stop. And I think you target going after Dak. This isn't a guy you just settle for and draft. Oh, I'll wait for him in middle rounds. No, go get
him.
Prescott. Yes, absolutely. And double that with a stack.
Yeah.
Dak is one of the best guys to stack. You could stack the tight end, and you've got 2 receiver options to stack him with. Go get one of those for next year.
Definitely.
You're going to love it. All right, let's get to our number 4 quarterback. Oh, Frankie, I was a year late on making this guy my champion.
Sick.
Yeah, I was a year late. I had him last year, but man, I should have waited for Liam Cohen, our savior, our sponsor of our show, Liam Cohen. Trevor Lawrence, quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Oh, God, coming in at your number 4 quarterback here. Just crazy. 326 fantasy points, a few more than Dak. 20.4 points per game was Trevor Lawrence. You've got to love that, man. Now, Trevor Lawrence, he really wasn't even considered in your drafting. His ADP was 20.
20.
Yes, so this is one of those guys you probably picked him up off the waiver wires or had him as a backup quarterback, ended up starting him. Maybe you traded your other quarterback. So these are the type of guys that not just help your team because they play well, it gives you the opportunity to trade a starter that you didn't expect to have to not use and make your team even better. So talk to me about Trevor Lawrence, our number 4 quarterback on the year.
John, we were 1 year late. We did Battle of the Brands, this huge league. It was a 14-team league. And we were like, you know what? It was a super flex, crazy format. We're going to go Patrick Mahomes 1, and then we're going to go Trevor Lawrence 2. And boy, were we wrong last year on both of them because they sucked. Okay, so this year, that would have been wonderful. Okay, yeah. And so, it would have been great. Guys, Trevor Lawrence this past year, 3,700 yards passing, which is actually hilarious because it's only his 3rd best out of his career so far. But he had 26 passing touchdowns, his best yet. He only had 12 interceptions, but here's the golden nugget. He had 348 yards rushing with 9 touchdowns. 9 rushing touchdowns, guys. This is where Trevor Lawrence really rose above the rest. That's why he was above Caleb, above Dak, above Bo, above Jalen Hurts. It's because of that dual threat ability. So for me, man, this is a guy I am not sold on. I am not 100% sold on yet. I don't know if I want to take him as my first overall quarterback, in a QB1 kind of, or a 12-team league, 1 quarterback kind of a format. I don't know. I don't know if this is the guy I want to hang my hat on. It's kind of I have a similar vibe like what I did with Sam Darnold last year. Darnold had an incredible year last year. And then this year, right, he kind of took a step back. Do we see that with Trevor Lawrence, or is it because Liam Cohen's got this thing humming? They just re-signed Jacoby Myers. They got Brenton Strange coming out, absolutely balling. You got Brian Thomas Jr., who's going to get his shit figured out. And then you got, Travis Etienne, who's an absolute stud. Maybe it does end up working out. But for me, man, I'm a little bit hesitant on Trevor Lawrence. I could look at this as a Bluebird type of year, top 5. But I think he's going to be a top 10, top 15 guy regardless. Certainly a surefire super flex guy.
I love him. I think we've seen him unlocked, and I think we're going to see him continue to rise, man. We've seen it before. I mean, 2022, his second year, he was quarterback 8.
True.
23, quarterback 13. I mean, he's thrown multiple seasons over 4,000 yards. He just missed that this year. But again, his touchdowns went up. I mean, 22, 23, he had 25 and 21 touchdowns. Last year, 11 touchdowns. So that's where we've got that recency bias.
Yeah.
This year, he had 26 touchdowns. So it's the most touchdowns he's had in his career. Great attempts, great completions, great yard, 9 rushing touchdowns.
That's great. That's huge.
I think his arrow's pointing up next year. I mean, what Trevor Lawrence reminds me of, this is going to sound weird, I know. He looks like a mobile Peyton Manning.
Yeah, wow.
I feel like he throws like Peyton Manning. He's got the size and the build, but he's also mobile. So I think he's extremely dangerous. I do think he's going to have his best season yet next year. Another year under the belt for Liam Cohen on this offense. He's got the tools around him. He's got receivers around him if they can stay healthy, if they can figure out what the fuck's going on with Brian Thomas Jr.'s head.
No shit.
And get him going and become a true alpha like he should be.
Like he was the rookie year.
Like he was his rookie year, exactly. But man, I see the arrows pointing up. I'm all over Trevor Lawrence next year. And one of my favorite stacks for next year is not going to be what you think it is. It's going to be Trevor Lawrence and it's going to be Travis Etienne as an RB2. I think that stack with your RB2 and your quarterback, I love that, man. So let's go. All right, this one, Frank, this is another one of those league winners. We talked
Big
about
time.
it here. Coming in at your quarterback 3, quarterback for the Los Angeles Rams, Matthew Stafford. 331 points, averaging 20.7 points per game. Frank, was his ADP I'm sorry, but this looks like a typo. Is it 23?
23.
He was drafted as the quarterback 23, came in at number 3, you guys. This stack, we said it before, the Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua stack was the best stack in football this year.
Far.
I think everyone saw that stack or a piece of that stack in their Super Bowls this year. I'd be willing to bet that. All right, talk to me about Matthew Stafford, man. Tell me about your boy.
Guys, I've been a Matthew Stafford fan for years, and I've been singing his praises for a very long time. I personally think he's a Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion. What he's shown, I think he should be MVP this year. I get the Drake May stuff, and I just don't think that the last game should absolutely disqualify Matt Stafford for what he's done. And here's why. Guys, he's almost thrown for 4,500 yards, 42 touchdowns. Let me pause. 4,500 passing yards, 42 passing touchdowns, and only 8 interceptions. Guys, outside of the Week 17 game, he had 5 total on the year. 5 interceptions on the year. So again, I don't foresee, I think it would be blasphemy, honestly, if he didn't get the MVP. And then, dude, you look at his rushing, it's hilarious. It's -2 yards. Think about the reason why that's hilarious. Everything he did was pocket presence. So you have Puka Nacua, you had Davante Adams. By the way, welcome back Davante Adams. We have not seen him perform to this level since really since the early on Raider days. Right after the trade from Green Bay to the Raiders. I mean, the Jets, it was a shithole, and then towards the end of the Raiders, it was bad with Derek Carr. Welcome back. Thank you for reviving a top tier receiver like that of Davante Adams. So for me, man, looking at the reason why, guys, and again, just to bring it full circle, the reason why Matt Stafford's ADP was 23, he was having back issues in the beginning of the year. And Johnny, you and I talked about it. That was enough for me to say, you know what, even though I love this guy, I've drafted him almost every year, I'm not going to draft him just out of that sake, because if he gets hurt, the entire thing blows up. And he never got hurt. And now they're leading him to what could potentially be a serious playoff run. And damn near should have been the NFC first seed had they not lost a few tight ones towards the end. So for me, man, I love Matthew Stafford. I will never, ever be on the bandwagon of saying, yeah, I'm not going to draft this guy. He will be drafted. I think he'll probably be ADP of probably 12, 13, 14, 15 next year. Pick him up. Whether it's QB1, you want to wait and then you just stream after that, or whether it's a surefire superflex QB2, what a dream. Get him on your team for 2026.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. You know what's going to happen is he is going to be outside of the top 12 for ADP.
Yep.
You know he's going to
be.
And it's going to be crazy. Tell me what's changing for Matthew Stafford next year. Absolutely nothing. And you know what? I'm sorry. I apologize, Matthew. I do. I faded you. And because I faded you, I faded Davante and I faded Puka.
Yes.
Puka,
yep.
I'm sorry. I need to talk to you. I will never fade you again. I don't care if your quarterback is. It doesn't matter what's going on with. I'm drafting him from now on. I'm sorry. Okay?
Definitely.
He's just absolutely incredible. But yeah, Stafford, incredible year. Go after him. Again, it was the best stack in football. We've seen Stafford do it. He did it his first year with the Rams where he had 4,800 yards and 41 touchdowns.
Yep.
So this isn't a fluke season, guys.
No.
This is what can happen when they're healthy. And there's no reason to think it can't happen again. I'm all over it. Let's go. All right, Frank, so we're talking about number 2 now. Let's go to our number 2 quarterback.
Ooh.
And this is the guy, you just brought him up, man, because this seems to be the favorite for MVP right now. I mean, what an incredible season this guy had. I have to scroll down so far to try to find where was his actual ADP.
16, John.
16. The number 2 quarterbacks ADP was 16. I'm talking about Drake May, you guys, quarterback for the New England Patriots. Just an absolute unbelievable year he's had. 343 fantasy points, 21 and a half fantasy points
amazing.
per game. Again, drafted as the quarterback 16. Frank, talk about the amazing year that Drake May's had, man.
Guys, phenomenal. Phenomenal. We're talking a second-year player. A second-year player doing the level of what he's doing, taking his team to the number one potential seed in the AFC and clinch the division over the Buffalo Bills. Think about this. Guys, he ended up having 4,200 passing yards, 30 passing touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He also parlayed that with 409 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns. But here's the key. What got Drake May to what he was getting a badass alpha receiver. Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs opened up this offense. Sure, you get Trevion Henderson to aid with the backfield. Sure, you bolster some of the linemen and things of that nature, and you get Mike Vrabel. Of course, all of those things affect this. But getting him his number one option opened up everything else. And so for me, man, I only see this cat being in a top 5, top 7 thing for a while. I don't foresee him going down. His rushing floor is there. You have the upside with some serious ass receivers. We saw Kyle Williams, the rookie they drafted, finally getting in there as well. So for me, man, it's almost like Stephon Diggs woke up, took on this leadership role, and wasn't an asshole. And Drake May won him over. And it's just like, dude, Drake May completely took command of this team as a second-year cat. So for me, I love this kid. Really well done. I just want to say, this might have been the best draft class of all time. You had Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May. You end up getting Michael Penix Jr. in there, and then you also had Bo Nix and then J.J. McCarthy, guys. Just an absolutely insane draft.
Yeah, I mean, Drake May, here's what's interesting, Frankie. He made Kayshon Boutte fantasy relevant.
Yeah. Legit fantasy relevant.
Demario Douglas, same thing. Hunter Henry. Huge comeback.
Big time.
Look at this. So look next year. Now you're looking at potentially, being the number 1, number 2 seed in the AFC. You're looking at making a deep, playoff run. This team is going to attract some talent next year, man. There's going to be some other talent for this guy to throw to, and that's what they're going to do. This is too good of an organization. We've seen it. This isn't the fucking Browns. This is the New England Patriots.
Right.
Okay? They've got a great organization. They know how to take care of, rising star quarterback on their team like Drake May. They're going to surround him with talent, and I think it's just going to it's going to be excellent next year. All right, Frankie, let's get to our number 1 quarterback on the season, the top quarterback in 2025. No surprise here, no shocker. It's Superman himself here, man. Josh Allen, 374 fantasy points. By the way, 30 more points than number 2, Drake May. So it's crazy. Game and a half there ahead of everyone else. So Josh Allen, 23.4 points per game. Oh. Absolutely crazy, man, right? Taken as the quarterback 1, ended as the cornerback 1. Is there any reason to believe he probably won't be the quarterback 1 next year, Frank?
No, guys, this dude, here's how special Josh Allen has been.
Yes.
Since 2020, he hasn't been less of a quarterback than quarterback 2. Final for the season. Never been less since 2020. Before that, he was 8, and in his rookie year, he was 21. Guys, he is special. This past year, he actually had some of the lowest amount of passing yards that he's ever had. He had 3,600 passing yards, 25 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Guys, that's significantly down from what he's done previously, but here's where he stepped up. Guys, 579 rushing yards, 14 rushing touchdowns. That's his second most in his entire career. Guys, Josh Allen's a unicorn. And there's no other way to say it. He is a more durable version of a Lamar Jackson. He doesn't have as good as receiving options as Lamar or others have. This dude is doing this on the back of himself. And so for me, man, absolutely I want a piece of him next year. It's just fun. It's just fun to have a surefire guy like this. Sure, you're going to have to get him probably in that second round. But if you're at the turn, it could make a ton of sense. Get him and then get another piece right away when it snakes back in round 3. But for me, man, there's not much to say about a guy who has been dominating fantasy since really his sophomore year in the NFL.
You're right. I mean, looking through these stats year over year, I mean, you're right. His passing was down. He's used to throwing, 29, 28 touchdowns. He had 25 this year. Went from, 4,300, 4,200, 3,700 to 3,600 yards. But you're right. And his rushing touchdowns, 15, 12, 14. I mean, these are Jalen Hurts rushing touchdown numbers here, man. And this is 3 years in a row of doing that. Yeah, there is absolutely no reason to think he's not going to do it again. And who is he throwing to?
Dude, there's literally nobody.
That's what is crazy about this. You had Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir. You had Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox. These are just okay
Shavers.
Options. Yeah, Shavers. Stop it with that.
Seriously, though. I mean, they sacked Keon Coleman. They sacked Gabe Davis. They missed. The problem is, man, they missed when drafting Keon Coleman. They thought he was going to be the alpha. They thought he was going to be a BTJ-esque kind of cat at the time. And he honestly was a massive bust. It couldn't have been a bigger bust. And so that really hurt when they traded away that pick where Kansas City drafted Xavier Worthy, right? And so Xavier Worthy on this team, oh my gosh, John, that would be...
Forget about it.
Right? That would be nuts because then you have Khalil Shakir doing the medium routes and you got, Worthy taking the top off. They desperately, desperately need a true number one receiver to help Josh Allen.
I agree. They had nobody out there running cardio. We always laugh at all the Chiefs guys because they're always out there. MVS was always running cardio. Sky Moore running cardio. They have nobody running cardio. There's a reason why we joke about it, but there's a reason why you do that. It's to get the safety out of there.
Exactly.
To open up the middle of the field for your Khalil Shakirs, who also had a very down year. A few games where he popped, but there isn't any of these receiving options that you were starting confidently on a weekly basis. And you still had Josh Allen throwing for almost 4,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, and running for 14. It's just absolutely crazy, man. Get him an alpha.
Get him.
Please, God, get him an alpha next year. Can you imagine having a stack? Or if Stephon Diggs was still with Buffalo? I mean, just imagine those numbers you could have with Josh Allen. It could be crazy.
I want to see him with like a Justin Jefferson, man. I just want to see him with... We've seen Joe Burrow with Jahmyr. We've seen what it looks like. We've seen Brady with Randy Moss. We've seen some of these guys with just Devontae Adams, Puka with Stafford, Calvin Johnson with Stafford. Like, I want to see him with a real number one guy. I want to see, whether it happens or not, I don't think it will, just based on, where they're going to be drafting from constantly and how this is going to unfold. They're going to have to hit pay dirt on one of these guys that they draft. But for me, man, I just want to see it happen. This dude deserves it. Buffalo deserves it. As a city, this is fun, man. They got the new stadium being built. Get your guy the right piece and let him ride.
That's right, man. But enjoy Josh Allen next year.
Enjoy Josh Allen.
There's no reason to believe he's not going to be the quarterback 1, 2, or potentially 3 next year.
That's right.
No question. And I love it. All right, guys, that is the top 15 quarterbacks from 2025, top fantasy finishes. Stay with us, guys. We're going to keep going here. We're going to have your top finishes for running backs, receivers, and tight ends coming out as well. And we're probably going to wrap these little episodes up into a nice little bow, bring them back out to you next year, get you going a little bit for your draft so you can go back and remember who your top fantasy finishes were to get you up going for the draft season. All right, Frankie, anything else you want to share, man?
Guys, couple shout outs here. First off, congratulations to all the Super Bowl winners out there. Really love you guys sending out who ended up winning and thanking Frankly Fantasy. Guys, shout out to Tyler Ross for winning the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Shout out to Terry McGlone, a.k.a. Aunt Terry, for winning the Women's League, a 10-team Women's League, which is really intense, really good job. Shout out to Drew Laurie, my brother, for winning the 14-team Cinco de Flexo League. Absolutely incredible job. First time winning that league. And then shout out to Matt Matuska, guys, won 2 leagues this year and tuned in every particular week. So thank you, guys. We love you, and we will be back in action, making sure you guys are ready to rock and roll for your 2026 drafts, giving you exactly what Johnny was saying in terms of look-backs to how these players performed. We want more Super Bowls for the Frankly Fantasy team.
That's right. Congratulations to all the Super Bowl winners. And if you won your Super Bowl, let us know. Send us a comment. Tell us who were the ponies you rode through that championship. Who were your big dogs all season long? Because you know what? Those guys that win you Super Bowls, they stick in your craw, and you're going to have a hard time not drafting them next year. Recency bias is our favorite drug,
Ooh,
guys.
yeah.
It really is. All right. We'll see you guys soon. We'll get back to you with running backs, receivers, and tight ends. May the fantasy gods smile upon you. Bye.